What's up guys, welcome back to Fancy Goldfish Fanatics. Today we're going to be talking all about goldfish grooming, so make sure you stay tuned to find out more. Hey Fanatics family, welcome back. As always, check out those links in the description and make sure you're part of the Facebook group. As I said, today we're going to be doing a back to basics episode all on goldfish grooming, what it is and how to achieve the best results out of grooming your young fish. So to start with, what actually is goldfish grooming? Well, personally, I think goldfish grooming is a term that's thrown about quite a lot, and really all it is trying to grow your fish as quickly and as best as possible, really. But majority of hobbyists are trying to do this anyway, so technically I guess we're all grooming our goldfish, but grooming is a little bit more specific rather than just general growth and general quality of the fish. Grooming is actually trying to make the fish develop as quickly as possible, get it to look as nice and chubby as possible, you can say, get a really good body shape and make the coloration really come out and really stand out on the fish. Now a lot of this is due to the genetics of that specific line of goldfish, but it can be influenced a bit by us hobbyists, by us goldfish groomers and by the goldfish breeders as well. So firstly, when you're grooming fish, you tend to be grooming younger fish, more sort of 1-inch fish. You can even groom smaller fish, but it generally is around the 1-inch mark. Once those goldfish fry have started to colour up a little bit, maybe they're still a bit bronzy colour, maybe they're the more natural colour, but they're starting to colour up, and the groomers or the breeders want to get the best market price they can for those fish. So they will select the best fish to groom and give them lots of attention so they can get as much money for them as possible, really. Now as hobbyists, we can also do that for our own benefit, and because we want to grow those fish as quick as possible and we really want to see them turn out into lovely, beautiful adult fish. So that's really what grooming is. So when you get your young fish and you want to groom it, you want its environment to be as best as possible. So you want the temperature to be fairly warm. Normally, I'd say goldfish grooming is done at between 24, even up to 30 degrees. The warm temperature means the metabolism and the metabolic rate of the fish is much higher, so therefore it can digest more food and grow quicker. However, you also would need to make sure your oxygen levels are really high, because the better oxygen saturation, the more oxygen saturation in the water means that our goldfish can respire, it can have the most efficient digestive process, and its metabolic rate will be slightly increased. Just like with humans, if we are taking in more oxygen, our body is going to be happier and healthier because we are extracting that oxygen from the air, and the goldfish are doing the same from the water. So not only does their environment need to generally be warm, for best results this is, you can groom fish at lower temperatures, but for best results, in my opinion, you need lots of warm water. You also need lots of oxygen, like I said, and also you need lots of space. Goldfish can be groomed in small bodies of water, but for the purposes of this video, I'm trying to give you the information to groom your fish as best as possible. Now, this water ideally would be very shallow. 8 inches would be great. Really shallow water would be absolutely great. Lots of surface area for CO2 to exchange and oxygen to regas the water, and most importantly, lots and lots of water volume. Now if you're grooming a goldfish in a tank like this, and there is 1 or 2 fish in this size of tank, they're generally going to do much better. They are putting out hormones into the water which can stunt their growth. So in a larger body of water, they tend to grow faster, and this can be coupled up with plenty of water changes regular water changes are best. If you can do water changes every other day, that is really optimal. However, you can cause stress and reduce growth by doing very regular water changes if your water quality is not the same as the tank in hand. So let's say this tank is 25 degrees. For optimal best performance, I want to be doing a water change with 25-degree water, so there is no shock to the fish and there is no impact or damage to them. I also want to make sure this water has been ideally degassed and regassed, and the best way to do that is to sit it in a large tank or a big IBC tank or a water butt for 24 to even 48 hours, so that any CO2 that is saturated within that water can gas off and atmospheric oxygen can regas into the water. Now we also want to make sure that water is treated for any heavy metals, chlorine, chloramine, etc. In the ideal world, the breeders in Thailand and China have natural spring water, or they can collect and harvest rainwater, which is absolutely great. It is really pure. It is not like the water we have in the city, which is really contaminated and has lots of chemicals added to it. So that is really best for them. And if that water is the same temperature as the tank, you're just going to be diluting all of that ammonia, nitrite, nitrate, all the organic pollutants, inorganic pollutants, and also the hormones and pheromones that the fish release. So that is the ideal way. I'd say if you can do that, you can warm your water up in a large tank and let it degas, regas, and also treat it for chlorine, etc. Then that is really going to be so beneficial. Now, economically, it may not be the best way to do it. It might cost you quite a lot of money, heating the water up, preparing it all, taking up space, etc. But as I said, for the purpose of this video, I want to give you the optimal, ideal information I can for grooming these fish, excluding any monetary factors. So that's the environment covered, which is one of the most important things. Next most important, I'd say, is the food. Now with food, you want to be feeding these fish as much as possible per day. So if you can, in an ideal world, you want to be feeding them every hour. So from potentially 8 in the morning till 8 at night, every hour you want that feed going in. Same with humans, we digest our food much more efficiently if it's in separate portions. That is why we have breakfast, lunch and dinner, because our body can remove the nutrients from that food far more efficiently when it's broken down into smaller portions, and the same is for the fish as well. Those fish eating lots of food at once, they're going to pass lots of that food out the other end and not extract those important nutrients, the macro and micronutrients they require. So breaking that one huge feed down into 12, even 24 feeds a day, the most you can feed is the best. And I like to use an auto feeder specifically for this, so you can break that feed down into many tiny feeds per day. Now, this means you don't have to stand there feeding the fish all the time, because to feed your fish 12 or 24 times in one day is a lot. You've got to be there and it's just a bit labor intensive, so auto feeders are really good for this. Now, not only do we want to feed in small portions, we also want to feed a really good quality food. And I'd say a homemade gel food or a wet, high moisture content pellet is really good. So we avoid any swim bladder issues and any digestive complications. Using a homemade food or a gel food like Rapashi is really good. Lots of different nutrients and a varied diet is very important. High protein for grooming is absolutely essential. So for instance, you can use foods such as bloodworm and daphnia, giving the fish the option to eat these foods throughout the entire day is best, so they can just eat and eat and eat, putting that weight on. Now, potentially, I'd say this is probably the most important aspect, and I've chose to mention it at the end of the video. And this may come as a bit of a surprise to you guys watching, but I'd say the genetics is far more important than most other factors, because you can't grow a cat into a lion no matter what you do to it. So genetics is very, very important. A lot of groomers and breeders will select specific fish from specific lines due to their traits of big size, big wen, good back curve. Maybe it's a long buffalo style ranchu, or a smaller compacted Chinese style with the really curved back, or a Shogun Oranda with a lovely big head and really big body. So this is really important when choosing your fish. You want to make sure that fish has good potential, and if possible, know the parent fish that it has come from. Now, yes, with lots of different fish, some weaker line fish, you can still get them to come out really nicely, and you can really groom them well. Now, it is very important. You can't buy an Oranda from a specific line hoping that it will turn out to something else, because that simply won't happen. Yes, the fish may grow nice and large, but it may not have those quality traits that you're after. And this is why a lot of groomers that are grooming to make lots of money are choosing high quality fish from specific lines to get those specific genetic traits out of the fish. So I really hope that's helped you guys out. Let me summarize super quick. To get the best results out of your goldfish grooming, you want lots of water volume per fish, you want lots of oxygenation, you want shallow water, a high quality fish food, lots of protein from live foods, etc., and lots of good quality water changes. Now, if you've got any questions, drop them down in the comments below. I'm really hoping this year we're actually going to be grooming some fish ourselves, and I'm really excited about that. The time is closing in on when we're going to be getting those new goldfish and setting up their forever home, and I'm super excited about it because, as you know, it's been quite a while since I've had any goldfish in my possession. We're going to be bringing lots more goldfish content to you guys because I've had lots of feedback and you really love the goldfish content, so I'm going to bring lots more goldfish videos to you. Thank you all for watching. Remember to keep those water changes up, and happy fish keeping.